right. Well, welcome to the podcast. So today I am joined by Nadine. Now, Nadine is someone who is a veteran. Well, I definitely want to talk to. She's also a real estate investor and she's a physician. So, I mean, come on, that's a triple home run. We need to talk to this woman. All right. So, Nadine, tell us a little bit about yourself. You mentioned you were a veteran. So, tell me about your experience in the service.
Okay, well, thanks for having me on, Sean. I appreciate that. I am a veteran. I am a newbie veteran. I just separated from the United States Army Reserves in June of this year. So, very, very new at this. And it was a medical separation. So, I didn't spend as much time in the service as you or some of your viewers, but it was a good experience. And I commissioned as a medical officer, so my experience was probably different in terms of entry than most people, but we did what we had to do. Um, yeah, that's the veteran question. What was the other question?
Great. Well, you're also a physician, so tell me
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
Yeah, I've been practicing for about 20 plus years now as a physician, and I think I'm in the downside of the career, right? And so I'm looking toward retirement and what's that going to look like for me. I love what I do, so I don't think I'm ready to give it up completely, but I want to do it on my terms, if that makes sense. I want to practice when I want to and not when somebody else tells me to. So currently, I work for the hospital and I do shift work. So I come into the hospital, I work for 12 hours, and then I leave. So, which is pretty good in terms of gives me a good schedule that I can make of my own. And I don't have like medical responsibilities after I leave the hospital. I don't have to return patient calls or follow up on labs and all of that. So that's a good part about it, which gives me time to do real estate really. And so I do a certain amount of shifts per month now, but I want to do maybe a little bit less and just kind of do it when I want to do it. And so I think real estate will be more than adequate to fill in those gaps and beyond.
Well, it's impressive that you were, a veteran and a physician for 20 years. I mean, that took a lot of schooling, a lot of dedication. So my
Yeah.
hat's off to you on that.
Yeah.
But getting into real estate, I mean, obviously people talk about getting into real estate all the time and they think that they need,
Yeah.
a lot of experience or they need a lot of money. And one of the things about helping veterans in foreclosure, I deal a lot with people that are in foreclosure. And obviously, as a real estate investor, sometimes it's a matter of purchasing their house. Sometimes it's a matter of them getting the help that's actually out there
Yeah.
that they may not know about. But in other cases, it's actually helping veterans who maybe they're not in foreclosure at the moment, but they're teetering on the edge because of their economic conditions. It's tough out there. And so
Yeah.
maybe they don't have the time to go to all those years of school and become a physician, but they can jump into real estate. And I say jump into, meaning that you don't really need experience and you don't really need money. You do need other people's experience and other people's money. A
Yeah,
lot of people, a
definitely.
lot of people out there, they talk about, well, you can buy real estate with, without any of your own money, right? Well,
Yeah.
you're going to need somebody else's money. So
Somebody's
let's get
money.
that somebody's money's got to be involved in it.
Yeah.
Now there can be low payment options, low down payment and things, but you're going to need
Mhm.
somebody's money for closing costs and other things. Also, you're going to need somebody else's experience if you don't have it. And by that, I simply mean by joining the Sub 2 community, they would have access to people of all different levels of experience. And the Sub 2 community is about a community of giving, caring people.
Yeah.
I joined Sub 2 with years of experience in real estate, but it's the community and it's meeting all the different
Absolutely.
people. So I truly love meeting not only other people in Sub 2, but also veterans in Sub 2. And I like to get their perspective so that we can educate the veterans out there that this is an opportunity. Now, it's not for everybody. I like to
Right.
say, look, real estate is a people game. In other words, if you don't like talking to people, you're not
Yeah.
going to do well with real estate.
No doubt.
So yeah, but I like the fact that you, coming from that 20 years as a physician, you're very cerebral, meaning
Mhm.
that you're smart. All right, so
Yeah.
you're looking at real estate, something to transition to from what typically people talk about. Well, what are the top earners around the country, and one of them would be a physician. So for
Mhm.
you to look at real estate, can you tell me a little bit about what real estate investing would mean to you?
Wow. Well, I think the thing that I always say is it allows me to buy back my time. And so
Mm,
when you're a physician or in any service oriented career, you put your patients, your customers, your clients first, right? So you serve them, and usually sometimes to the detriment of yourself, your own personal health, you push through. And so that is sustainable for a while, but not for the long term, right? You need to have good self care. You need to have an outlet, especially coming out of this pandemic. You need something that's going to fulfill your spirit. And so for me, real estate represents the vehicle that's going to allow me to kind of work on my schedule. And so, like I said, I don't have any plans of giving up medicine completely, but I do want to do it when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And real estate is going to fill in those gaps because, like you said, there are many occupations that earn good money. I feel like real estate earnings are limitless and you can
yeah.
easily replace your salary. Excuse me, I have a cold.
No worries. I know you came on the podcast today and you told me just before we started that, it's probably not the best day for you to do this. So
We're gonna
we
push
won't,
through.
that's right. That's right. A trooper. So we do appreciate it.
Not a
So,
problem.
yeah, the thing about real estate is that, people talk about passive income,
Mhm.
and it's not passive to get into real estate investing. But eventually, if you've got a plan and you follow that plan, it can be. And I think that's one of the things that attracts people that are looking for that. They have less, we'll say that they have um, less time than money, and
Mhm.
there's other people that have less money than time.
Right.
And so no matter where you're at, you can find that if you have no money, but you've got time and you want to jump into real estate, then you need to form somebody, you need to get that experience from somebody. So you need to join a team, join a
Mhm.
group. Again, my recommendation is sub two. We'll put a link down below. And if anybody's interested, I do a video to cover the good, the bad, the everything about it.
Okay.
So if you have any questions, you can check that out.
Cool.
But how long have you been in the subtube community?
Just joined April of this year. It
April.
was
Okay.
very quick. It's crazy because my journey was I spent so many years thinking and researching and finding the way. And then I came across Pace Morby, and in 2 weeks I joined his community. So it kind of
Yeah,
really, expedited the process. But he fulfilled everything that I was looking for. He's an expert in his field, which is important to me. And he comes across as very genuine, very given, and not like out to make money, not a guru. And
definitely
so
not a guru.
yeah, and I like that. That speaks to
Yes.
me, the given spirit. And so the decision was very quick and very easy.
Yeah. I know for me, I had years and years of experience in real estate, had my own office for 15 years. My wife and I ran it. I should say she did all the work. I just went out and talked to people. So she did all the work behind the scenes, which is the real work, all the paperwork and things
Right.
like that. But with all that experience, I had been out of real estate for a while. We ended up moving to Tennessee to take care of my in-laws here. And when I got the bug to, well, I thought maybe I should get back into looking at some real estate. I went online, found Pace's videos, and I went,
Mhm.
this guy, he knows what he's talking about. And what intrigued me was that aspect of the community. I was not looking for training. I was not looking for a guru.
Right. Right.
I
Exactly.
wouldn't even dream of going into a mentorship with someone who wants to train me. Not that I know everything. It's just
Mhm.
that I believe that if I want to be successful, I just need to start doing the things that I already know how to do.
Yeah.
So it's not a matter of giving me more education. It was really giving me the connections. And the thing I love is, I didn't know anybody here in Tennessee when we
Mhm.
moved here. I've been here just over 2 years, and a lot of it I've been working from the house. I can't leave the house. We have to have somebody here. So I didn't get out and meet a lot of people. And
Mhm.
now, since I've joined Sub2, I've got to meet up with people that are in this area. I can call them and I say, hey, I need a title company for this. I need a
Yeah.
contractor for
That's
that.
the
And
best
and
part.
that's it's those connections.
For
And
sure.
on the
It's
other side
priceless.
of it, I'm able to provide some of this, information that I have stored up here after, 30 years in real estate. And it's just so rewarding for me when I can help somebody in our area, and they'll call and they'll say, well, I'm talking to a seller and they've got this issue and they've got that issue. Because my strength is problem solving,
Okay.
solutions. That's what I do. I talk to sellers, I figure out what is their problem and see if we can't solve it. And we can't solve every problem out there. I wish we could.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people out there that we can help. Yeah,
That is amazing. And that it's people like you why I joined the community, because I want that. I want to leverage that knowledge, that education, that experience that I don't have. And, kind of, I'm very much into, for the first time at least, hand holding. Like, I don't want to miss a step. So if I'm doing something new, tell me all the steps. I'm the one that reads all the instructions when you have to put together furniture. I'm not going to
yeah,
sit there and be like, oh, I'll just look at it. And no, I don't. That's not how I process. I am very verbal, very like, tell me the steps and then I got it. And so working with someone like you or others in sub 2 where they know the blueprint and they can show me, and then I can go off on my own. But I get it.
right. Yep. So it sounds like, you were able to take some of your background as both a physician and in the military, and you're kind of setting up that checklist of
Yeah.
step by step by step. When I was in the service, we were working on the aircraft. We call it the monkey model. They had it laid out in such steps that any monkey that went through this,
Right. To do it.
could
Yeah.
could work on the airplanes. That's what they'd tell us.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing, right? You're looking for those systems. You're not looking to
Systems.
go
That's
out
right.
there and be the one that's blazing the trail.
Right.
Yeah.
It
Yeah, I
sounds
can
terrible, but it's true. That's how I process. I need to know that the method has been proven, the concept works, and teach me the steps, and I'm good. Now, can I flex and add my own spin later? Absolutely. But I want to
yeah,
learn the right way so I don't miss a step. And I will. I'm sure I will still make the mistakes and all of that. But it's good to know that even when I do, I can turn to this community and they can help me. So that's
for
important.
sure. You
Yeah.
know what they say about the pioneers that go out and blaze the trails?
What?
They're the ones with the arrows on their back. So, everybody
You're right.
they go
You're
out
right.
there first. So they
Yeah.
take all the arrows and everybody else follows along into the trail that they cut.
Right. You're
So
right.
that's we have a lot of leaders in the organization. And again, you joined in April.
Hmm.
I joined in the middle of June.
Okay.
So it's not like I've been in sub 2 forever. It's just when I saw the videos and then I talked to some of the people that were in the community and
Mhm.
I felt that they had the vibes that I was looking for, like you, it didn't take me long. I jumped in.
Yeah.
And then once I jumped in, I just spent the first couple of weeks doing nothing but setting up calls with as many different people as I could
Oh,
all
that's
around the
nice.
country. But I especially love meeting the people locally that I can talk to here that, the boots on the ground that can tell
Yeah.
me, what part of Knoxville is the area that I want to be out there investing in
Mm.
and what part isn't, those kind of things.
That's funny
So,
because I did a little different. I spent the
mhm,
first couple of weeks in Zoom hell or heaven, depending on how you look at it, because
right.
there's so I mean, it's a wave of information that's available. It just washes over you. And so I spent so much time, like literally the first few weeks, I could be on the Zoom because it's nationwide, right? The time zones span from very early morning to late night. And I was on Zoom all day long, like
Yeah,
from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. There's a new Zoom happening. And then there's the vault when you just want to go in and find something specific. So that's what
right.
I spent my first few weeks on.
Yeah, it's funny. I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
One thing that I've learned with the gray hair that I now have is that I have to have a plan and I have to execute my plan. In
Hmm.
other words, when I came in, I knew what I wanted to do was to grow my wealth of people that I know, and I
Okay.
started reaching out to people. And I went through the course material, and it was laid out. And like I said, now a lot of it was just rehash for me, but it's fine. I
Right.
went through it all, but I didn't get on all the Zooms
Right.
because I felt like I could get lost. I could
It's a
get
lot.
lost going down this Zoom and that Zoom, and then I would sit there and go, "Wow, I don't know what to do." So for me, I jumped in, started making the connections with the people, and
Hmm.
immediately put three things into escrow. In the first 3 weeks.
That is
So it was
amazing.
just I had to stick to that plan. I work differently. Everybody works a little
But
differently,
that's the
but
beauty right here, because there's space for both of us in that, right? We both I am
yes,
very I needed the education, I needed the background that you already had,
right,
right? And So I needed to start there because I need to understand it. I need to get it at its core. What does this mean? What do these terms mean? And then I went to the people, the connections, the meetups in my city. So, and
Yeah.
it's good that it's space there for both of us. So that's
Yeah.
interesting.
Well, and that's the part. I go to the meetup and I find that there's people there that are just searching for what I can give them
Yeah.
some information, because I have the well, and I have the confidence of having done it before, which is always
Mhm,
nice. Like you said,
mhm.
instead of talking to somebody and they say, well, how would you structure this? The person's in foreclosure and they've got these
Right.
problems. How would you structure it? I can tell you how I would go in and structure it. I can get creative, and a lot of it I can draw upon my experiences.
Right.
So again, there is no perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. I like to fail as fast as I can because on the other side of failing
Yeah.
is success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% right.
Yeah. Now, you are in what market was it again?
I'm in Houston, Texas.
Houston. That's
Uh,
right. Houston. I
yeah.
remembered Texas. I couldn't remember
Yeah.
which city. So,
But I'm open to investing in different areas. So I think what I want to spend my, I don't know if this is going to be your next question, but I'm gonna jump right into it. Where I want to spend my days, what I have an interest in is medium term rentals. I like
okay.
the hospitality nature of it. It's a little more stable than Airbnb and short term rentals, and seems to be less headaches than long term rentals. But we're gonna see. But
Right.
that's kind of where I want to spend my days. I like that service aspect. I like provide, there's such a huge connection with medium term rentals in the medical industry. Like I've done what we call locum tenens work, where you go out and work in different places for temporary assignments. I've done it. I've lived in medium term rentals. And
Right.
sometimes it was a hotel room in a rural place for 3 months. And sometimes it was an apartment that the companies secured for us. So I can see where some things can be optimized and make the workers feel comfortable. And then once the pandemic hit, the concept of remote workers or travel workers really exploded beyond the medical industry. Now people were just had anyone who was working from home could just pick up and instead of working from their small apartment in Iowa, no disrespect to Iowa, they could choose to go work on Miami Beach and do the same work. So that industry really has exploded and it's still I don't want to say new, but not as saturated as some other aspects of real estate investing. So I like that. And then, so that's where I want to put my primary focus. That's where I want to spend my days. And
Well, let
then,
me ask let me say this really quickly for anyone who doesn't know what a midterm rental is.
oh
I
yeah,
just wanted to tell people that, in our lingo, we have short term, medium term, and long term.
right,
And it has to do with, in a sense, how long they're going to stay, right? So everybody knows what Airbnb is, right? You can go rent a house, you can rent it for 1 day, you can rent it for a week. That is a short term rental.
right,
Okay. Anything under 30 days. So 30 days or longer, you start getting into midterm or long-term rental. Now, midterm can be 30 days and then it goes to a weekly, or it can just be 30 days at a time. There's no real, like lease on it for a
yeah,
year or something. And then, of course, long-term is your standard rents. So I really like the aspect of midterm rentals. And I think being in the medical profession, I've done some midterm rentals years ago for the traveling nurses.
yeah,
So that's where the hospital would say, we are short staffed for nurses. We can't find them locally. So they will pay all the extra money to have the nurses come in from around the country. And they might be there 6 months, they might be there longer, but they need some place to stay. They're not
yeah.
looking to move, right? They're not getting a U-Haul and
No,
driving out. So they need some place to stay. And midterm rentals are typically furnished.
yes.
So did you have a particular, like with your physician background, are you looking at working with any type of group for your, like nurses or other groups for your midterms?
Absolutely. So, this again, we're just starting off, but I'm in Houston, which is the largest medical center in the world. So
Ooh,
that's already a huge bonus because there's constant turnover of traveling nurses, doctors, all of that, and then you also have patients, right? So there are a
mm,
lot of people that come here for treatment, whether for themselves or their family members. So, God forbid someone has cancer or something, MD Anderson, the premier cancer center, is right here. And so people will come and need to be here for 3 months at a time for their
Wow.
therapy. So whether they need the place to stay or their family comes with them, we have a very large children's hospital network. So again, the kids come, the parents need somewhere to stay. And so it's there. The need is definitely there. I started, I'm aware of the deficits where we just don't have enough housing for these people. And then, whenever there's surges in the area, the nurses and everyone else need come. So you can have the nurses, the doctors, other medical professionals, the family, the patients, they're there. And so they need the housing. But I'm not limited to Houston, right? I want to expand
No.
beyond that. There are hospitals in need everywhere. And
Right.
so, I want to do that. And, the key is to get a good team wherever you're located, especially if you're going to be managing it remotely. So that's, where I want to spend some time in, like trying to establish some core teams in markets that I really want to be in. And then my second arm of my business is definitely long-term rentals, because I feel like that's kind of like a foundation. And in that, I really have an interest in affordable housing. I didn't grow up with much. And while we didn't rely on affordable housing programs when I was growing up, I knew plenty of people that did. And so in some other markets, and they don't necessarily have to play in the same markets as the midterm rental. So maybe
Hmm.
Midwest or other places where affordable housing programs are there. That's kind of like a stable, secure, reliable part of the portfolio that, is nothing is passive, but you can almost say a set it and forget it kind of thing. Whereas the midterm rental is going to be a little more hands-on day-to-day stuff. So I kind of want to explore both arms, and that's where my interest is mostly.
Well, that's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see the Houston. I didn't know it was the largest medical.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yes.
my wife. We were in Chico, California. My wife worked for the local hospital in the HR department, which is why we
Hmm.
ended up in helping the traveling nurses because she was in the HR department, helping to arrange for some of the travel for the
Yeah.
nurses and telling them, okay, well, here's some of the places you can stay. And it was like we were running out of places for them. And
Mhm.
so we turned some of our long-term rentals into furnished midterm rentals for those
Yeah.
traveling nurses at the time. So I think
Yeah.
it's a real boon to you for the local area. You're going to have access to knowing when the hospitals are going to be gearing
Yeah.
up to have traveling nurses or doctors. And like you said, the other thing that most people don't recognize is that need for the families that come for people
Yeah.
that are in that situation. I know in Chico, I never really thought about it, but in Chico, there were all the housing that was around the hospital. A lot of those were rented out to people, to
Mhm.
families like that. And
Yeah.
I really, at the time, I wasn't plugged into that community, so I didn't understand it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I like midterm rentals. We're focused on the helping veterans in foreclosure with, we're setting up midterm rentals, renting them out by the room to the veterans. So the nice thing about that is, just the way housing is, especially if you are a single person,
Mhm.
it's difficult. You have to go and rent either a one bedroom or two bedroom place, and then you've got to set up your electricity. You got to pay for
Right.
the internet. You got to pay for all these things, and by the time you're done, even if you're in an area where say you could get a one bedroom for 1,200, you're going to be end up spending close to 1,700 $1,700 a
Exactly.
month on the basics. So we set up our midterm rental. We're paying for the electricity, we're paying for the internet connection, we're paying for the
Mhm.
garbage, we're paying for housekeeping to come in, not
Yeah.
like a hotel where they come in every day, but we'll have them come by either every other week. Is a typical schedule, just depends
Mhm.
on the housing. We have the yard care done and all that kind of stuff. But the other fun thing is, we utilize a service that's called FOS TV, which is Future of Streaming. And it's
Oh,
really cool because it's a streaming service that has all the shows on it from HBO, Netflix, all of them basically.
okay.
And so, it's like, okay, come and get a room for anywhere from, depending on the cities and such, but anywhere from $700 to $900, and you've got access to every single one of those streaming movies and TVs, no matter
That is an
which service it's
excellent
on.
gem, Sean. Thank you.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
I like that. I'm gonna look into that.
And I will
I
tell
think
you,
one of my things is I want to do a little extra
yes,
for our clients. You know, give them a little
yeah,
extra. You know, I'm thinking coming in 12-hour shift at the hospital, you're tired. What can we do to make it a little nicer for you?
yeah.
That's kind of my angle.
And
Yeah.
they can log in on their computers on the device. So it's not like they have to go, when I was back in the service, we had one TV in the main
Right.
room and
Yeah.
everybody would
Yeah.
go there and we'd sit around and watch MASH and the other shows that were new at the time.
Yeah.
Um, and Mork and Mindy was the other popular one, which is funny. But
Yeah.
anyway,
I watch those.
nowadays, of course, everybody watches things on their devices. So
Mhm.
it's I think they allow up to 5 different devices. So it's a neat service. We have it at our house. It was recommended to us by my sister-in-law, and they certainly can afford anything they want, but they just like the
Mhm.
service because they didn't have to worry about, well, the latest Mandarin came out from Star Wars, and you
Yeah.
have to go to the Disney Channel, and then this
Yeah.
other one is over on
Another
Apple
channel.
TV, or it's all these
Yeah.
different services that people have to subscribe to and unsubscribe. So we just thought, well, that would be a really nice touch to throw that out. Like you said,
Yeah. I
just
like that.
trying to think of ways to make it, a
Yeah. A
little
little
bit
better.
special for them.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that. I'm
Yeah.
taking notes.
All right. Well, I am
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to helping you find some deals in Houston. I would love
Yeah.
to joint venture with you on something there.
Bring me
Um,
to Tennessee too. I'm open.
all right. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just this week we put 2 more. They're gonna be fix and flips. I don't think they're in the right areas
Mhm.
to do what I want to do, but they kind of generate the cash flow that we like to
That you
have
need.
so that
Yeah.
we can go into some of the other deals. Because when we closed escrow on one that was in Clarksville, Tennessee,
Mhm.
which is a military town. And even though we got into that deal with very, very little money down,
Mhm.
10%, and then we helped the veteran with an existing VA loan on it.
Oh, okay.
So we ended up doing sub 2 on that. And but even so, it was a low amount of money. But then after we're done, then we have to furnish the whole house, put in
Right. All the
all the
stuff.
rooms, have to have everything. So, you know, money drives the world
It
at the end of the
does.
day.
It
If
does.
so yeah.
And that's not a terrible thing. You know, money gets
No,
demonized. It's really about how you handle it and your mindset around it. The money is essential. It's a tool like anything else. And the value that it has is the value that we give it, right? At its core, it's a piece of paper or cloth or whatever they print them on these days, but it
yeah,
has no intrinsic value. You know, I always had this joke about if we didn't give money value, salt would be more valuable than money in this, you know, in the real of what it can do for you. But we give money this
true.
value, so we just got to keep the right
Well,
mindset around it.
we did find out during COVID that toilet paper has value, okay?
Right,
It may not
right,
have long-term
exactly.
value,
Oh my
but
gosh,
at the
you're
time, it
absolutely right.
had value.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And as far as money goes, it's a difference of whether someone is about the money,
Hmm.
right? And what the prestige or whatever that comes with that, or about what the money can do. So
Yeah.
the more money that we can make, the more people that we can help. And
Hmm.
that's the way I look at it. So
Yeah.
my goal is to help all veterans that are in any kind of a distress, whether it's foreclosure or whether they're, needing that extra money, maybe a career change, something like that.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to branch out side of Tennessee. It's where I've started. It's been a lot of fun,
Hmm.
and I really, really enjoy the people that I've met here. Yep,
Awesome. You're doing
definitely.
good work. You're doing
Yeah,
great work.
yeah. It's fun. So, do you have any advice out there for veterans that are out there that are either they're facing foreclosure, which is one mess to be in,
Right.
or maybe they're not facing foreclosure right now, but they are facing financial distress?
You know, I would say the best advice is get help early. And, you know, I wasn't in the Air Force, but I'm sure it's the same across the board. The Army has so many great resources for their soldiers in need, right? They have these emergency funds and all of that. And sometimes we, especially because the mindset in the military is like, be tough, handle it on your own, you don't need help, that kind of thing. And I think we need to step away from that a little bit and access all the resources that were there. Like I was learning about resources up until my last day. I never needed them, thank God, but I didn't know they were there. And so maybe asking for help early, talk to your first line leader and say, hey, I fell behind a month on this payment. Don't wait until it gets to foreclosure is the only option. Get the help. And you'd be surprised what resources are out there publicly and even privately. People are, love the military in this
Yeah.
country and they want to help, but you just gotta, you gotta open your mouth. Closed mouths don't get fed. That's an old saying. And just ask for help early, and you'd be surprised what you can be plugged into.
Well, it's amazing. Some of what you were saying was what was echoing in my head because I had
Mhm.
just had a very, very similar conversation with one of the sellers that was a veteran. And I was telling him exactly that. I said, look, when we were in the service, right, you had a structure around you and
Yeah.
you had your buddies, you had your community, so to speak, and
Hmm.
you always had help. But
Yeah.
when you get out of the service, sometimes because you're lacking that structure and because you don't have your buddies and your friends around you, right? You still have that mentality of, you're tough, you're going to do everything yourself, and you're not going to ask
Hmm.
for help. And that
Hmm.
is the exact wrong thing to do. Like you said, they
Hmm.
need to do something early.
Yeah.
And if they have waited and waited, it just makes it harder and harder, less solutions. I used to tell my daughter when she was making choices, you're just painting yourself into a corner. It doesn't mean you can't get out, but you're limiting your choices as you get
Yeah.
further and further
That's
into the
true.
corner, you know.
That's true.
So yeah, when it comes to the veterans, there is so much help out there, like you said, and sometimes people want to give, and we actually have investors that will help us go into properties, and not only do they, help out veterans, but
Hmm.
they end up earning interest on their money because we put it, as a lien on the property. So,
Hmm.
as we like to say, they can earn double-digit returns on their investment
Hmm.
secured by real estate. So, it's a kind
That's
of a
good.
win-win-win. It's
Yeah.
their way sometimes of helping where they have money and they can't do anything else. So,
I
yeah,
tell you
lots
a
of
funny
solutions out there.
story
Sure.
about just people wanting to help veterans. The last house that I obtained, that I purchased, I put in an offer and it was recent. So the market is kind of cool now, but I put in an offer maybe about 5-10,000 below asking. And I asked for a seller's concession at the end. And this is a traditional deal, not a creative deal. And, I just kind of threw it out there. I'm like, oh, we'll see. I didn't really expect much, but we'll see. And the owner accepted it. And not only did the owner accept it, they accepted it and turned down a full cash offer that
Mm,
was able to close in 10 days because I'm a veteran. And
that's
I was so
wonderful.
touched by that. It was that, I mean, because, a full cash offer, fast closing is not common in the
No.
traditional real estate market. And that's almost money in the hand. And that seller turned it down and took my offer and gave the concessions that I asked for and the lower rate because
Yeah,
I was a veteran. And I thought that
that's
I was so
amazing.
touched. I was so touched by that. And so, because you don't have to do that,
No.
And so, yeah, it's out. The help
That's
is out
great.
there.
Well, and that goes back to one of my early statements on this is that, real estate is a people
Yeah,
game. It is talking to people. It's
yeah,
about people to people. No matter how much technology and all this other stuff that we have now, making it easier and faster to access all this information, at the end of the day, we still have to get out there and talk to people.
yes,
So
absolutely.
the one of the properties that I bought subject to was a VA. I actually paid full price. I mean,
Hmm.
I paid market price. And the reason I paid that is because that's how much he owed on his house.
Hmm.
So, like you said, the market hasn't exactly gone up in the last year. In fact, it's gone flat.
Hmm.
But there's people that are out there in that situation where they think, they're stuck because they have no equity. And sometimes there's other things that we can do. We can
Yeah,
either come in, you can, as I like to say, you can buy things with cash and get a discount, or you can buy things on terms and we'll pay a little more.
yeah,
So I just want everyone to know out there that, there's hope out there for you if you're feeling like maybe you're not behind on payments, but you want to move and you're
right.
stuck because you can't because there's no equity in it. So I would say, reach out to people, like Nadine, reach out to me. I'll put you in contact with Nadine. So we'll definitely focus on helping you. So, all right. Well, I know that you've got some health issues to deal with
Yeah,
and your dog today. So
I
I
did.
just, I really appreciate your time.
Thank you,
And
Sean.
I, I've learned so much talking to you. And I hope that we're reaching some people out there.
I think
So,
we are.
yeah.
We are.
Is there anything you want to say to the audience before we end?
Well, a little self promo. I have my tag
Yep.
here, Investor Nadine, and that's going to be where you can find me on YouTube and Instagram. And then my midterm rental business is called prnhomes.com. P is in Paul, R is in Richard, N is in Nancy, and PRN in the medical field means as needed. So
Yes.
it's for temporary housing, and I'll send a link, and Sean
Yeah.
can put it in
We'll
the
take
show
that and
notes.
put it down below.
Yeah, and just we're expanding and want to hit many markets in the country. Right now, we're focused in Houston, but check us out.
Definitely. All right. Well, let's put a little bit of music on and
Let's
we'll
do
talk
it.
to you soon.
All right, thanks. Nice talking to y'all.